Well, this is something special. Paradox is dropping Europa Universalis 5 in a couple weeks, and they put together a huge collaboration with all kinds of YouTubers, like the history collabs of yore. This is one of those topics I'm surprised I've never done before. The Pope personally leading an army to attack his own allies for helping him win a different war is one of those situations you'd think would be like a nuclear Gandhi thing. Like, yeah, everyone knows Paradox games have you killing babies in order to seduce your cousin, the Pope, but as is often the case, the game is batshit because real life is also batshit. 1492, Columbus sails the ocean blue, and in Rome, the Catholic Church is holding a big old job interview. 23 cardinals are locked in the papal enclave to choose the new pope, and 2 of them actually mattered. Everyone else was basically there for the free wine. The man considered by most to be a shoo-in was Giuliano. The keys to St. Peter's were practically in his pocket, and he was already rehearsing how to pull off that ridiculous triple-decker pope hat they used to wear. Giuliano had it all: virtue, reputation, and maybe a few strategic death threats here and there. Unfortunately for Giuliano, there was another man in the running, and he wanted the papacy more than anyone in the history of wanting things: Rodrigo Borgia. The Borgias had more money than God. To them, everything was pay to win. So Rodrigo opened up his coffers and started making deals. Cardinals got bags of gold, wide acres of land, and every idiot nephew in Rome had a cushy job lined up for him.
Well, I have always wanted a vineyard.
Rodrigo, this is highly irregular.
Giuliano, my friend! Didn't your uncle bribe his way to make you a cardinal?
Even Jesus would flip tables over this!
And then he would forgive. Say 3 Hail Marys and consider it done.
By the time Giuliano realizes what's happening, half the College of Cardinals were shopping for country estates. Rodrigo Borgia becomes Pope Alexander VI, and Giuliano is pissed. He storms back to his house in Rome, locks the gate, and begins stockpiling weapons. Rome is edging on civil war. But as awesome as a street fight between cardinals would be, Rome wasn't thrilled about getting caught in the crossfire. The other cardinals reminded Giuliano that Rodrigo Borgia had the funny hat, and so it was his turn to speak for God. That, and he was rich enough to buy an entire army, so unless Giuliano wanted to go down as that idiot who got excommunicated and stomped in his own turf, he needed to back down. So Giuliano gets his own army. He goes off to sulk in France, and he cozies up to the French king. He spreads every nasty rumor he could about the Borgias and casts himself as the rightful Pope-in-waiting. You might be thinking this Giuliano guy seems like a sore loser, and you'd be right. But the Borgias were infamous for their blatant nepotism, secret poisonings, and not-so-secret affairs. Even in scandal-soaked Renaissance Rome, these guys were scummy. The French king, knowing how important it is to have the support of a future pope, declares war against the current pope and marches into Italy in 1492. But Borgia's infinite money hack translated into infinite mercenaries. Every city the French passed through, Pope Alexander bought off the lords and used them to stall the advance. The French army burned through supplies faster than a cardinal at an open bar. In just 2 years, the Borgia family had humiliated Giuliano not once, but twice. And by everything he held holy, he wasn't about to let that slide. This was personal, and he was going to dedicate the rest of his life to making sure the Borgias paid for it. His chance came 9 years later. Why do you humiliate me, God? Do you enjoy watching me squirm? The Pope's dead? Well, it's about time. I've been sharpening my daggers for years. Pope Alexander kicked the bucket in 1506, and Giuliano raced to Rome. The cardinals replaced him with Pope Pius III before he even got there. Pius III kept the seat warm for 3 weeks and then died, giving Giuliano exactly the time he needed to arrive in the Vatican and make a play for the crown, or tiara, as the case may be. There was just one more problem. Pope Alexander VI had a son. Told you those Borgias were naughty boys. Rodrigo Borgia's son, Cesare Borgia, controlled most of central Italy, and without his blessing, nobody was getting near the papal throne. Giuliano knew what he had to do.
So, if I make you pope, I keep everything I got from Dad.
Everything.
Righteous.
And just like that, Giuliano finally becomes pope.
Giuliano?
It's Julius now.
Where's my reward, dude?
Oh yes! Consider this your eviction notice. Julius II's first act as Pope was to strip Cesare of everything. The lands, the titles, the army, and every shiny toy his dad had handed him. But Julius wasn't done, oh no. Because what he really wanted was revenge on the dead Rodrigo. He pulled out a pro-gamer move from the Roman Empire and sentenced Rodrigo Borgia to damnatio memoriae. He banned any mention of Pope Alexander's name in meetings, congregations, or whatever it is cardinals do all day. If anyone so much as whispered Alexander, they were out on their butt. He ordered Alexander's tomb to be desecrated and his name scrubbed from every church record. Alexander VI never existed.
But, Your Holiness, he was a pope.
Oh yeah? What's your source? Second on the agenda was to rebuild the Papal States. Italy wasn't a country yet. France held a chunk, Spain held a chunk. Venice was basically a floating Costco with a navy. In theory, the middle of Italy belonged to the Pope, but all of his cities were decades late on their rent. Julius II wasn't about to be treated like some two-bit landlord. He wanted the Papal States to be an empire. His empire. So with all that Borgia money he confiscated, he raised an army and started marching. Usually, when the Pope shows up at their door with an army, the family in charge of the city runs for the hills. There's a story from the town of Perugia, how it was run by this terrible guy. Tyranny, extortion, incest, you name it. And how the Pope walked up to him unarmed and ran him out of town with pure swagger. Machiavelli says it went down something like, "Oh, do it, darling. Be the fool who stabbed the Pope and spend an eternity in hell." Now, how true is this story? Yeah, we've only got one source, and chances are Julius needed more than just raw Sigma grindset energy, but he got what he wanted, and he made his point loud and clear. There's a new sheriff in town. The obligatory outlaws in this story, then, are the Venetians. While the Borgias were busy turning the papacy into the family business, Venice had run away with the Pope's land. Julius tried to settle the matter with threats of hellfire and damnation, and Venice said,
Ooh, shiver me timbers, I just myself.
So he excommunicated the entire population of Venice. Not just the guy in charge, fishermen, bakers, street vendors, but...
Your Holiness, they're still selling tomatoes.
Tomatoes? They're supposed to be in hell!
That, usually takes a while.
God has crossed me for the last time. I'll send them myself. And so the Pope called for a holy war against Venice. Most of Europe had a score to settle with Venice. France had been eyeing northern Italy for ages. Spain wanted a slice of Mediterranean trade, and the Holy Roman Empire just wanted to feel included. They joined forces to create the League of Cambrai. The League was mildly successful, except it wasn't so much the combined might of Western Europe that broke the Venetian ranks so much as their own infighting.
How long until those reinforcements? About 7 minutes, Captain. 7 minutes. 7 minutes! I'm going in now!
Half the Venetian army stood around waiting for instructions, while the other half got flattened by French cavalry. Venice fell all the way down the tier list from Europe's top doge to a wet noodle. Pope Julius was feeling pretty good about himself until he realized that winning a war with France's help meant France also won the war. Occupying northern Italy like they own the place.
Your Holiness, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Think you're better than me, do you?
What?
Julius declares a holy war against France and excommunicates the French king. Most of Europe had a score to settle with France, and the Pope managed to convince the entire League of Cambrai, plus England and Venice, to join up with the Pope and punish France for doing exactly what the Pope asked them to do. Julius then gets angry at his generals for not punishing France fast enough, so he personally takes command of the army. Despite being nearly 70 years old, the Pope personally rode onto the battlefield and stormed the breach in the city walls. Believe it or not, this man died of natural causes. The wild thing is, Julius was crazy sick the entire time. Poor guy was burning up with a fever and was barely off bed rest since before the campaign even started. It was like God himself was trying to stop him, and he was still winning. And when Julius died, the war got even sillier when Venice switched sides and started helping France. But by that point, Julius had a bigger score to settle. Show me God!
How did you even get in here?